Good day, everyone. I am Earl Justin Sariba, and I am here to present about globalization and regionalization. So, first, what is globalization? Globalization is growing interdependence of the world's economies, cultures, and populations brought about by cross-border trades in goods and services, technology, and flows of investment, people, and information. And what is regionalization? Regionalization is defined as an increase in the cross-border flow of capital, goods, and people with a specific geographical area. Also develops from the bottom up through societal driven processes coming from the markets, private trade, and investment flows, none of which is strictly controlled by governments. So globalization and regionalization. The process of this re-emerged during the 1980s and heightened after the Cold War in the 1990s. So it was likely delayed or stopped because of the war. So in a 2007 survey, the Financial Times revealed that majority of Europeans considered that globalization brings negative impacts to their societies. And many policymakers and scholars think that globalization must be regulated and managed because the threats of the ungoverned globalization can counter the what Jacobi and Mounier called the managed globalization. And managed globalization refers to all attempts to make globalization more palatable to citizens. Regionalization in one part of the world encourages regionalization elsewhere, whether by imitation, like the success of European single market, or by defensive reaction, such as Mercosur's establishment as the response to the creation of an AFTA. So an AFTA stands for North American Free Trade Agreement. And according to this, regionalization and the development of interregionalism would indeed be global in nature. And also, according to the research in 2005, the new regionalism is not a barrier to political globalization, but on the contrary, entirely compatible with it, not an indirect encouragement. Regional developments in one part of the world have affected and fueled regionalization everywhere else in a sort of contagion or domino effect. So, in this fact, along with the increasing developments in the interregional cooperations, shows that the regionalization process is global in nature. Therefore, regionalization is intimately linked to globalization since it is part of it and it builds on it. So, globalization goes back to when human first put a boat into the sea. It is according to Sweeney of 2005. We can understand globalization as the increased flows of goods, services, capital, people, and information across borders. It is according to Jacobi and Mounier in 2010. Defining region and regionalization is complicated. Nevertheless, region is a group of countries in the same geographically specified area. It is according to Mansfield and Milner in 1999. Regionalization is a societal integration and the often indirect process of social and economic interaction. It is according to Harrell in 2007. In addition, regionalization is different from regionalism, which is the regionalism is the process of intergovernmental collaboration between two or more states. It is based on the research of Ravenhill in 2008. So, the motivation for the recent regionalization in Asia, as well as the regions in the world, cannot be isolated from one another. It is a complex mixture of factors. One of the reasons behind regionalism is the concern for security, which is to ensure peace and stability. Confidence building can be enhanced through economic cooperation with the region. The ASEAN and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or the SCO, are regional organizations that seeks strong security in the Asia through cooperation. In 1996, Huntington, or Samuel Huntington, on the contrary, believed that the culture and identity guides regionalization. For him, culture and identity are civilizations. He identified the nine major civilizations, which is the Western, Latin American, African, Islamic, Hindu, Orthodox, Buddhist, and the Japanese. He argued that international organizations like EU or the European Union or Mercosur share a common culture and identity and are far more successful than an AFTA, whose member states belong to different civilizations. And also, he proposed the idea of clash of civilization. So the clash of civilization is a thesis that people's cultural and religious identities will be primary source of conflict in the post-war or the post-Cold War in the world. So, um, if we follow Huntington's idea of clash of civilizations, one could argue that potential of such clash can be strong in Asia because many of those civilizations are, at least can be found in this region. Nevertheless, economic motivations are arguably the main motivation behind the contemporary regionalization. By entering in regional organizations, Asian states may regain some control over flows of capital and enhance their bargaining power against transnational economic actors such as investing groups of transnational corporations or the TNCs. It is according to DeMartino and Graybell of 2003. Aside from this, domestic companies may benefit from belonging to a regional market big enough to allow them scale economies while still being protected from global competition. In other words, regional organizations allow national companies the opportunity to succeed in a protected but big enough market in the way that they would otherwise fail if exposed to global competition. And finally, non-state actors such as TNCs act as driving force toward regionalism. These TNCs, whose host countries are not part of given regional trade agreement, find themselves in a disadvantaged commercial situation with respect to competing companies belonging to regional organization in question. So given this situation, according to Ravenhill of 2008, said that disadvantaged TNCs will lobby their national government to sign similar trade agreements in order to end their disadvantaged commercial situation. So, it is the end of my slide. It is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.